Hello and welcome. Today we are going to draw Norton by Symantec logo in CorelDraw. So whenever an pre-existing logo is to be created, I always prefer the way I Google the images of the logo and I save it in a hard drive and I import it in CorelDraw. So let's say you want to create something very similar to this. I open a new page in CorelDraw. I import the existing logo image. Import. You see something like this. You just need to drag it and create a big clear image of this. Now over this we are going to draw objects and get the logo. So let's get started. So the first thing is this Norton text. So I'm not sure which font is this, so let's just find it out on internet. Not sure if this is a good information. Symantec logo font. Okay, Symantec logo fonts. Okay, what the font used by Symantec logo, the font is used by Symantec is very similar to Droid Sans and this and sources and links. So I click on this Droid Sans font. You can just test by typing in here and you can download from here. I click on download and the font is downloaded. I open it, I go inside. This is for bold and this is for regular. So if you don't have a font, you just need to install it by double clicking this. You will see install here. So in my case it's already installed. So do you want to replace it? No, in my case if you have not installed it, you will go ahead. So now in CorelDraw you should see when you select text and you type Droid Sans, I see that Droid Sans font is available. So let's start with the easiest one, by Symantec. I click here, I type by Symantec. Okay, this is not bold, this is simple, so I create it almost of the same size. Okay, very similar, not exactly but almost similar. This is Arial. Okay, Droid Sans. Okay, better than Arial. It fits almost perfect, not very perfect but almost perfect. Okay, fits well except some characters like Y and M. So if it's good for us, let's do one thing. Let's just give it the same color. We'll use this color eyedropper tool. We choose it, we choose the color and we click on this and we get the automated color picked and applied in here. Instead of choosing from this strip, we choose this color eyedropper tool. We get the source. You can see the RGB values 153, 153, 153. I choose this and I click on the object I want to color and I get the object. Okay, so partially it's done. Now let's come to Norton. Okay, I'll create a new text. I'll click, I'll type Norton. Okay, we will leave out the trademark part as of now and we will create that later. Okay, so let's check if it's a good fit. Droid Sans, and it looks like it's bold. I increase the size. Now when I want to fit on this, I would want to change the color. So I want to make it colorless and I want to give it a border of, let's say, red color. So I get the frames. Now I try to fit as best as I can. Norton. Okay, doesn't fit well, But in the absence of the exact font, what we can do is we can find the nearest font and we can try to adjust it. Okay, so looks like close match. Now what we will do is we will try to fit this font only over that. So we will have to kind of break this property of this particular object, which is text as of now, and we will make it a normal object. So what we do is we click on the object which is text and we want to make it convert to curves. So convert to curves is like breaking the property, and now this becomes a normal object of lines and curves. Okay, so this is now curves. Now try to fit using this shape tool. I grab the nodes and I try to match them. Okay, just fit this. Or you can just double click and delete the extra nodes. Okay, so this is a curve and we'll change the property to cusp, and I think we got to delete this node, we're gonna make it cusp, and we want to make it a straight line. So this is a curve. I right click and I say to line, close. I shift in here. Okay, a lot of nodes in this area, we may just want to delete them. Extra nodes are to be deleted. Close, close. Okay, we may just want to align them, like there must be an option of alignment. Align nodes, yes. I click this, align horizontal in this case. Okay, so the bottom node is aligned now, so N is perfectly fit now. Now let's come back to O, a very poor fit. So what we can do is we can just ignore the entire part and create a new one. So we first create the outer circle, we make it a fit. Okay, we may always want to avoid resizing the object using this and prefer this, because this preserves the ratio between height and width. So I just make it a little small and looks a better fit. If your fingers are not sharp, you can use the keyboard arrow keys to make it upside and downside. So I'll just make it this way. Okay, little right, and I'll make it a the boundary of this object as red. I just right click on this, right click. Okay, looks like we need to change the ratio of the width and height. I just drag it, okay. So now I want to replicate the inner circle as this one. So what I do is I hover over this, I click shift, I press the shift key and I do this and I right click. This creates the inner circle. Okay, so now what we can do is, this is an object, it can have color like this, and that is a different object. So this blue one is just a layer above this object. So what we actually want is, we want from this layer, we want to remove this part. So what we do is we click on the black part, we click on the blue one, and we say trim. Okay, trim, and now we can delete this. Now we have an object which looks like this and can have a color. So we don't need to have a circle inside this to cover it, and it's a kind of transparent. You see the black part outside, so this fits perfect. Okay, so we have one more O here. What we can do is we can simply delete by pressing delete, we can have a copy of this by dragging it directly here and right click. Okay, now we have to fit N, R and T. Let's have some attention on N. Okay, okay, so I mean we can make it little more close. Okay, so what comes to my mind is I'll just make it a little above. I'll just choose this and this, and I press the arrow left key to move it left. Or you can do it using the mouse as well, like this. And if you're not sure, if the alignment is not good, if you think, you can always choose this and make it align. Oh, looks like it didn't work. Okay, so I'll select both the nodes and align. So I want to align them vertically, so I'll do this vertically. Okay, I'll drag this node over here. Okay, let's focus on these nodes first. Okay, look like these nodes are not required as of now. I'll delete them. I'll click in here. I want these nodes to be cusp, and I'll just convert it into a straight line. Okay, I'll just drag it using the keyboard arrow key. Now I'll just delete extra nodes with alignment. So for example, I just aligned it, and I'm deleting these nodes by double click, and I'll just position it at the right place. I'll just make it fit the curve of actual N. If it doesn't fit, I will have to add an extra node like this, and looks good enough. Now I'll delete these nodes because I can create the curve using 2 or 3 nodes at max. So I use the arrow and try to fit the curve. Now R and T are remaining, so I'll just follow the same steps. So I just use the same idea to shape it and give the appropriate curve by deleting and resizing the nodes. Now we have this gap, so we have to weld it. So the easiest, or the way I prefer, is I just create a rectangle between them and weld it. So I choose a rectangle, I just fill the gap. Now I choose pick tool, I select it, and the object I need to join and weld. So now that becomes a single object. I mean that the gap is filled, and the node which are not aligned, I can just double click them to delete, so there is only single node and the image is smooth. So oops, it doesn't work. I mean that messed up the previous shape, so I'll just delete this node, and the line is straight, and we can go on zooming up to the extent. That's the beauty of CorelDraw. And we see the text is ready. So what we did is, even though the actual font was not available, we just used our skills and tools by CorelDraw to create the exact replica of that text. So even though that doesn't have a property of text, like you cannot change it to a different font or make it bold or italic, that's a static object, but anyways our job is done. So we'll just mix or kind of merge all the object, and just little bit is remaining trademark text, and just type it using a normal text, reduce the size, try to fit it with the existing image. I just gave it some white outline, so just have an idea. I just tried giving the same shape. I give it a black color, I right click here, and the outlines are gone. Now it's a text. I try to find if there is a different representation of text which fits better, but looks like Arial was better. So I go back to Arial and choose that only. I try to give it a different height and width to look it perfect. Now this part is done, almost done, so I just group it with the Norton one, weld. So now trademark and the Norton object are single object. I give it a black color and looks identical. There may be some issues, like have some more efforts and make it look exact. Okay, so it fits better. Now let's come to the interesting part, the circle and that pixelated small squares of yellow and black color. So what we need to do is, we can find some other ways, or it will take the exact amount if we just directly take our rectangle tool and draw the shapes over that, and will be done quickly. So I just observed it, I chose the rectangle tool and I started drawing the shapes. Doesn't look good. Okay, this looks good. So I just create one square. I gave it a white color. I removed the outline. One more. So it's kind of, we are gonna merge all these rectangles so that it looks exactly same. So you'll see the effect in a minute. So I'm just creating this small rectangular boxes. So just make sure nothing is left. You can give it a color if you want. If you are facing some difficulties in identifying the remaining areas, even though they can be covered later, I'm just creating boxes so that they look pixelated. You can use arrow keys to move them left or right, or use Control or Shift to make the placement more or less. When you press Control and press arrow key, it moves only a little part. I'm creating boxes. There are only few boxes remaining, so I just cover. The final set of boxes for black color, I just make it fit in a better way. Now almost black ones are done, so I just select the area where all the black ones are covered, which are individual objects. So I just give it a black color and I remove the outline by clicking right over here. Okay, I select all the objects which are individual, I take them aside, and you see they are small boxes. I just weld them and I just place them near to see looks exactly same. So now only the yellow part is to be created. Looks little difference. Okay, so looks identical. Now only the yellow one are to be created. I place the object again in its place. I just made it transparent, and now I'll just make it fit perfect, and I'll just create the yellow boxes now. Let me just place them exactly where they deserve. Okay, so I'll just again choose the rectangle tool and yellow box. So these three rectangles are individual objects. I'll just select them and merge them. This and this, and they need to be merged. Weld. And I just right click here, so outline is gone. Now I want to fill them with the color. So instead of choosing from here, what I'll do is I'll choose that color picker tool. I choose the color from here. I see the RGB value. I single click on this and I select on yellow object and I see the exact color. Perfect. So now this black one and yellow one are two different objects. So what I do is I'll just group them together, so whenever we move them they are together. So I click on this, I can press the Ctrl G shortcut, or I can find in the options which are not visible at the moment. I'm not sure where they are on the bar. Okay, I see ungroup option. I just pressed Ctrl G. I just ungroup it and see where is the option. I say okay, in here it is, group. So you can press Ctrl G or just click on the toolbar, and I see some red outline here, so I may want to remove it by pressing right click here, and the yellow and black squares are together now. I grouped it, and wherever you move them they'll go together. I just placed it again to its deserving place, and I want to extend that square boxes to look like a checkbox as we see in the actual logo. So I just want to extend it. I just chose the shape tool, but I'm not able to choose it because that's a group. So I press Ctrl and click on the object. I press Ctrl and click, and I see the nodes of only black one because I just clicked on black one. So I move these nodes. If I click on yellow one, the yellow one will be selected. So Ctrl and click, and I press Ctrl and click on black one, and I extend these nodes to match the shape of a right click. So just place them at right places. You can convert them into curves or single lines, so mostly curves are needed here. So I'll just place them to form a basic shape first. Make it look like a sign. I'll just make them a curve so that it looks identical to logo. I just right click here, make sure you click on the line, otherwise the options won't be enabled, and just move it, and you see the curve. If I move it, unless it's a curve, the entire nodes will move. So just make it curve and then give it a shape. Perfect. Right click and to curve and give it a shape. Not necessarily you can achieve the curve in two nodes, so you may want to create extra nodes in between and give it a desired shape. So as of now looks good to me. Not actually, but you can revisit it later. I may want to give it a shape to other leftover areas. I just gave it a shape. Just give this area a right shape. Doesn't work with two nodes. I think I need to create third node as well if required. Let me just try if I can achieve. I create a third node here and I move it, and I create it using the node pullers. Okay, it doesn't look smooth. I mean, if you see, it's little angular, so you just click on right click smooth and it goes perfect straight. So sometimes it might change the previous alignments, so you will have to be careful. Just give it a right shape, and the final touch, and this distorted area needs some arrangement, and this looks quick. Perfect. So we almost achieved what we desired. We just check it, looks identical. So some part may be like not exactly as it should be, so you can just change the shape using the curve tool and shape tool. So that's the beauty of the CorelDraw. You can zoom in and try to achieve the perfect shape. Now only the yellow circle is remaining. I choose the circle. You can use the guidelines. Just click and drag. Just click and drag and start from the intersection and you get a circle. Just leave and just try to make it as close as possible with guidelines. Just click here and press shift and inside and right click, and the inner circle is a copy of that outer circle, so you just give it a different color and the inner circle is a different object. So what we want to do is, out of the blue wheel we want to trim the red part, so we click on the red one and then blue one, and I click trim, and the red one is not required now because the previous object, the blue one, is now in correct shape. I delete. I give it a correct color by choosing I just remove the outlines. I just used this tool. I chose the color and click and I get the color. Now this guidelines can go by pressing delete. Right click, delete, and this yellow circle is above the right sign, the check mark sign, so this needs to come up, and the shortcut is control page up, or you can find in the menu options in the layers. So I don't see in here, but I know that control page up will bring it front. And here we go. Now the logo is ready and there is an image behind this, so I just click it and drag it down. So I separate the object from the image, I drag it, and you see a replica. So you just created the exact logo out of the image, and the above is the object and below is the image, and you derive that object from this image.